Senate will come to order. Mr. Schaffler, please call the roll.
Senators Amabile, Baisley, Ball, Bridges, Bright, Carson, Catlin, Cutter, Danielson, Doherty, Exum, Frizzell.
Excused.
Gonzalez. Gonzalez. Hendrickson. Judah. Kip. Kirkmeyer. Kirkmeyer. Kolker. Liston. Lundeen. Marchman. Michelson Janae. Mullica. Pelton B. Pelton R. Rich. Roberts. Rodriguez. Simpson. Snyder. Sullivan. Wallace. Wallace. Weissman. Winter. Mr. President.
Let's do this. The morning roll call is 34 present, 0 absent, and 1 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Winter, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Bright.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we all know, it's critically important that we have an accurate recording of what we do on the floor here every day. So important.
Wow.
And with that, I move that the Senate Journal of April 16, 2025 be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
Man, it gets better or worse every day. You heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. I think some people voted twice. All right, well, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Senator Carson. Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 298. Correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 158. Senate Joint Resolution 21. Correctly revised, House Bill 1117, 1154, 1219, 1272, 1290, and 1301. House Joint Memorial 1001. Correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 6, 31, 63, 146, 152, 164, and 199.
Committee reports.
Committee on Appropriations. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 130 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 132 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 283 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 162 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Committee on Transportation and Energy. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 286 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 280 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. Committee on Judiciary. After committee consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1294 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1136 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation.
Message from the House.
The House is adopted and transmits herewith House Joint Resolution 1027.
Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate proceed out of order for moments of personal privilege.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order for moments of personal privilege. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Tony, go first. I'll close it up.
Who would like to begin? Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Colleagues, today we recognize the electrical line workers of Colorado. This day is dedicated to honoring the unsung heroes who keep our world illuminated. These electrical line workers, more than 100,000 strong across the nation, are the backbone of our power infrastructure. Their tireless commitment ensures the electricity flows seamlessly to our homes, schools, hospitals, and businesses in my irrigated farm. Line workers often work in grueling and dangerous conditions, from battling wildfires to enduring ice storms and tornadoes. Their unwavering dedication ensures that our communities have access to safe and reliable electricity even during the most challenging times. Beyond crisis response, line workers play a pivotal role in maintaining and enhancing the energy grid. They inspect, repair, and upgrade power lines, transformers, and substations, ensuring the uninterrupted flow of electricity. As you conduct your work today at the Capitol, keep an eye out for the line workers from across the state. We have also included a lapel pin you can wear today to show your support for the line workers from the organizations, a number of them listed below. And a special thank you to my nephew, Cade, who's a line worker, graduated a little over a year ago from the school in Grand Junction, and is somewhere either in Wyoming or on the Eastern Plains. So thank you, colleagues.
Senator Exum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
I'd like to read the tribute that we did for the line workers. The Senate of the Colorado Legislature convened in the first regular session of the 75th General Assembly hereby extends hearty congratulations and commendations to the Colorado professional line workers. The state of Colorado recognizes professional line workers, the men and women who protect public safety and maintain electrical infrastructure, as critical for our lives and economic well-being. Colorado line workers are essential to maintaining electric service to all Coloradans, residents, and businesses year-round. The line worker profession is steeped in personal, family, and professional tradition. Line workers are the first responders for utilities who work to get power back on and make things safe for all storms and accidents. They work in dangerous conditions, at times far from their families, and at all hours to maintain electrical infrastructure in times of storms and natural disasters. The Colorado Senate recognized the hard work, dedication, and sacrifice of Colorado line workers make every day to ensure that the citizens of Colorado have access to reliable electricity, and recognize those line workers who have been injured or lost their lives in service to their communities and the state while working to maintain our electrical service. On request of Senators Tony Exum and Cleve Simpson, given the 17th day of April, 2025, State Capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed by James Rashad Coleman, President of the Senate.
Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, if you don't mind welcoming our guests to the floor, the linemen of Colorado, and some that are not on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Welcome to the Senate. Thank you all for the work you do. Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Very good. Members, after all the good work that the linemen do, might be a little time for recreation. And today, I'm very pleased to announce that is golf day. In case you didn't know, down on the first floor, we have many members from the golf community. The golf industry here in Colorado, just Colorado, contributes $1.7 billion annually to the state's economy. And I'm sure that does not include the side bets on golf, more than, because that's probably double or triple. But anyways, it supports over 19,000 jobs throughout Colorado. Colorado has 236 golf courses, of which 72/3, three-quarters, are public, that maintain over 33,000 acres of green space that supports wildlife habitats. And that does not include the golf courses themselves. These are just the habitats. Over 130 of the state's golf courses have adopted and implemented specific best practice guides. These guides and superintendents in maintaining the best golf conditions possible while preserving our natural resources and protecting our environment. For instance, something I just learned is that they have a device now that you can that is remote controlled, or that you can put in the ground and will read the moisture content, so that as they water the golf courses, they can tell specifically where to water and where not to water. So for the environmentally conscious, which is all of us, it saves a lot of water. So the positive impacts of golf to the state are evident and will continue to grow. So today we have representatives from the Golf Course Coalition here in Colorado. They include the Colorado Golf Association, the Rocky Mountain Golf Course Superintendents Association, the Club Managers Association of America, the Colorado section of the PGA, and the National Golf Course Owners Association. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand? And would they be recognized?
Yeah. Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I might also bring to your attention, for those of you who are golfers, and you don't even have to be a golfer, is that this June, June 26th through the 29th, the U.S. Senior Open will be played at the Broadmoor. And like I say, even if you're not a golfer, these golfers are such as Freddie Couples, Bernhard Langer, Vijay Singh, Fred Funk, and a host of others. I guarantee you, if you have never seen professional golf, you will be thoroughly impressed. I would encourage you can get a day pass and come down, and you're literally 5 and 10 feet away from these exceptional golfers. Thank you, Mr. President, and welcome all of the members of the Golf Association to the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Welcome again to the Senate. Senator Doherty.
Thank you. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
I just wanted to welcome the Westminster Chamber, one of the cities in my district, including former state representative and county commissioner Tracy Kraft Tharp. So thank you for coming today.
Hey. Members, before I had the privilege of chairing this chamber, before I chaired committees, I learned how to chair a committee from Representative Tracy Kraft Tharp. So again, thank you so much for the work you do and everybody in Westminster, and let's give her another round of applause. Welcome back to the Capitol. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you for being here, Representative Kraft Tharp. I don't know how to respond to the training of the president, but Mr. President, I'd like a moment of personal privilege.
Denied. I mean, I'm sorry. Granted.
Colleagues, I'm honored to welcome the team that represents Denver and the Colorado in the Women's Elite Rugby League, the Denver Onyx. I'm especially pleased that they play in Senate District 32, my district. We have a history in our district of producing championship athletic teams. It's DU Hockey, who we've had here, and now the Onyx, who seeks to continue that tradition. They are currently tied on the top of the division and have won all 3 of their home games, outscoring the Bay Breakers 63-7, the New York Exiles 62-7, and the Chicago Tempest 76-7. As you may know, a prominent feature in this building, which their names are the Rose Onyx, is what their name is based on. They're on the pillars of the pillars in the building. Is now an extinct mine in Beulah, Colorado. It's one of a kind stone, just like our newest professional sports team. Women's professional sports have grown and expanded dramatically over the past few years, and I'm proud to see our state be a leader in this growth. The Onyx are playing their inaugural season in the Women's Elite Rugby League. Their home games are played at Infinity Park in Glendale, Colorado. League play is from March through June, and if you'd like to learn more information about them, you can look them up at women'seliterugby.us/Denver Onyx. Let's welcome the members and the staff of the Denver Onyx Women's Elite team. And I'm going to read the tribute, which I have right here. The Colorado Senate extends a warm welcome and well wishes to the Denver Onyx, our new professional women's rugby team. Their mascot of Onyx pays homage to the beautiful rose onyx of stone unique to Colorado that adorns our state capitol building representing Denver and the state of Colorado. They joined 5 other teams across the nation to form the new Women's Elite Rugby League. The new league and teams are forming at an exciting moment in the sport following the USA's Olympic medal in 2024 and building excitement towards the 2033 Rugby World Cup. The Onyx had an incredible start to their inaugural season with the 63-7 victory at their home stadium at Infinity Park in Glendale. For representing our state with pride and their grit and success on the field, the Denver Onyx are fully deserving of this welcome and recognition from the Colorado State Senate. On request of Senator Robert Rodriguez, given the 17th day of April 2025, State Capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed by President James Rashad Coleman. Colleagues, please stand and welcome our guest.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Mr. President, may I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Risky, huh? You know, Mr. President, I couldn't help but notice that on this fine Thursday before a 3-day holiday weekend, we have the makings of a spectacular pickup football game. I think we could send the golf club groundskeepers down to the west lawn of the Capitol to prepare a field. We could send the folks from Westminster down to supervise and referee, and we could have the line workers challenge the Onyx in pickup football. What do you think, colleagues? Let's do that instead of work today. Thank you for the moment of personal privilege.
Mr. Schaffler, please add Senator Frizzell to the roll. Members, we'll take a brief recess to acknowledge all of our guests. Senate will come back to order. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over special order second reading of bills until Monday, April the 21st.
The motion is to lay over special order second reading of the bills calendar to Monday, April 21st, 2025. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The special order second reading of the bills calendar will lay over until Monday, April 21st, 2025. Third reading of the bills. Consent calendar. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move on the consent calendar to lay over House Bill 1290 until Tuesday, April the 22nd.
The motion is to lay over House Bill 1290 until Tuesday, April 22nd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 1290 will be laid over until Tuesday, April 22nd. Third reading of the bill consent calendar. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of the bill on the consent calendar.
House Bill 1301 by Representatives Carter and Espinosa and Senator Robertson Gonzalez concerning the addition of voice court reporters to the list of professionals who may administer an oath or affirmation.
Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of the bill on third reading of bill's final passage consent calendar, which is House Bill 1301.
Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, in motion is the passage of the bill on third reading of the bill's consent calendar. Are there any no votes? Senator Pelton R.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on 1301.
Senator Pelton R will be recorded as a no vote on 1301. Seeing no further discussion, with a vote of 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1301 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Judah, Winter, Michelson Janae, Kip, Wallace, Cutter, Gonzalez. Please. Oh, so you are a co-sponsor. Excellent. By and double co-sponsor. Senator Exum. Danielson, Marchman, please add the president. Third reading of the bills. Final passage. Mr. Schaffler, please. Mr. Majority Leader. Unless we're ready today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over Senate Bill 276 until Monday, April 21st.
What? The motion is lay over Senate Bill 276 till Monday, April 21st. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. But the ayes have it, and 276 will be laid over till Monday, April 21st. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 27.
Senate Bill 27 by Senator Marchman and Representative Joseph concerning the use of trauma-informed practices to address school safety and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Marchman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 27 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 27. Are there any no votes? What? Senators Rich, Frizzell, Pelton B., Bright, Baisley, Catlin, Pelton R., Mr. Minority Leader, Simpson, Carson, Liston, Kirkmeyer, Exum. With a vote of 22 ayes, 13 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 27 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Kip, Michelson Janae, Winter, Judah, Wallace, Gonzalez, Danielson, Mr. Majority Leader, Cutter, Colker, Henriksen, Ball, Sullivan, Exum. You're welcome. Please add the president. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title to Senate Bill 34.
Senate Bill 34 by Senator Kipp and Representative Basnicker concerning voluntary waiving the right to purchase a firearm.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move SB 25034 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 34. Are there any no votes? Senators Rich, Kirkmeyer, Frizzell, Mr. Minority Leader, Simpson, Baisley, Catlin, Pelton B, Pelton R, Liston, Carson, Bright, with a vote of 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. Senate Bill 34 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Danielson, Amabile, Cutter, Amabile again, Gonzalez, Michelson Janae, Winter, Weissman, Wallace, Sullivan, Snyder, Bridges. Please add the president. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 53.
Senate Bill 53 by Senator Danielson and Representatives Joseph N. Velasco concerning the classification of bison as wildlife unless classified as livestock and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am so pleased to move Senate Bill 53 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion? Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. This measure is a step forward to acknowledge the importance of the buffalo to our state, our history, our people, our environment, and our beautiful landscape. The buffalo is a majestic animal that is beloved by Coloradans and Americans across the country. The buffalo is considered by many Native Americans and tribal nations to be a sacred animal, to be a relative. We acknowledge in this bill the efforts of the American government to eradicate Native populations by destroying the buffalo population. We acknowledge in this bill that the poaching of these important animals must stop. And we also establish a wildlife management plan and a willingness to work to restore wild buffalo. It is an important step forward to begin to address the wrongs of the past and the promise of the future. I am honored to carry this measure and look forward to its passage. I urge an aye vote on Senate Bill 53, protecting wild bison. Thank you.
Very good. Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 53. Are there any no votes? Senators Rich, Kirkmeyer, Frizzell, Mr. Minority Leader, Carson, Bright, Catlin, Pelton B, Simpson, Pelton R, Liston, with a vote of 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. Senate Bill 53 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Wallace, Judah, Kipp, Gonzalez, Marchman, Bless You, Cutter, Amabile, Michelson Janae, Winter, Weissman, Ball, Sullivan, Colker, Bridges, Exum. Please add the president. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title to Senate Bill 167.
Senate Bill 167 by Senators Amabile and Frizzell and Representatives Byrd and Lukens concerning the investment of state fund money to benefit Colorado communities and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Frizzell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 167 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion? Senator Frizzell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, it was a really long day on Tuesday when we heard this bill on second reading, and I feel like a lot of things got muddied. And so I'd like to just take a moment, take a pause, to talk about what this bill is about and what it is not about, because I think there's a lot of confusion, and I really, I believe that this is important. I think it's not a 100% solution to our housing situation, our housing issues that we have, but I think it's a step in the right direction. And so I'm just going to take a step back. I want to talk about the Public School Permanent Fund, the Colorado Public School Permanent Fund. And that is something that is governed by the Colorado Constitution and state statute. The use of the permanent fund is so tightly restricted to protect the principal and to make sure that we have long-term benefits for public education. And we talked about that on Tuesday, because it's very important that we protect that principle and ensure that we have an appropriate rate of return for those public education benefits. In the Constitution, the preservation of the principle is laid out. This bill does not touch the principle. This bill creates an additional mechanism for investment of the principal that is anticipated to create a greater rate of return than the permanent fund currently experiences, which is quite low. Along with that, right now, as in any investment portfolio, the permanent fund is invested in a diverse range of financial instruments, and that's really important for the security and viability of the permanent fund. That's just smart investment. And some of those investments, they could be all over the world, they could be all over the country. This bill creates a local investment mechanism that helps Colorado citizens and keeps those investments local. So what this bill does do is it creates the new community investment portfolio, which requires a share of the permanent school fund to be allocated to investments that benefit Colorado communities and public school children. It also does create the Educator First homeownership program. And this is a really important part of this bill, in my opinion, the most important part, because there is a portion of the community investment portfolio that supports down payment assistance for Colorado teachers and other public school staff. And to be specific, it provides first-time home ownership purchases for primary residents. This is not a second home in Breckenridge. This is a primary residence. That's very clearly spelled out in this bill. As designed, this program will support about 2,500 educators across the state to achieve home ownership in those communities where they teach. And I don't know about you all, but I know in my county, it's very difficult for our teachers to be able to achieve home ownership. That's true all around the state, and it's a problem. It's a problem for teacher retention. It's a problem for making sure those teachers are really engaged in their communities in which they work. This provides some really great benefits. It's a great use of public dollars. It's leveraging existing funds. It is not a handout And there's and I'm going to turn this over to my good co-prime sponsor to talk about some of the other pieces of this investment. But I want to put some things that were talked about on Tuesday to hopefully to bed. This bill does not fund the Middle Income Housing Authority. It does not. It has a long list of example community investments, but that's not the purpose. This bill does not have a sunset, and there's a really good reason for that. And we talked a lot about creating a sunset mechanism within the legislation, but it already has a functional sunset. If you look on page 13 of the bill, about halfway down, as I recall, it has a functional sunset that allows the Public School Fund Investment Board that oversees the permanent fund investments to shut it off. It can be shut off with a 6-month lead time. So essentially, this has a built-in sunset at the behest of the Permanent Fund Investment Board. The nature of this investing in housing means that these investments will exist for a while. And this particular structure with the 6-month shutoff ensures that the program manager continues to report on the performance of investments, even if the board chooses to end new investments in the program. Another thing that we talked about was mandating the Public School Fund Investment Board to invest. This is a mandate. It's really not. The bill creates the community investing portfolio where 20% of the funds will go. And it lists a bunch of different types of investments that could have positive impacts on communities, and what could be a positive impact in, say, Douglas County would be very different than Basalt or Yuma County. It's really up to that board. The one exception to this is the Educator First Homeownership Program, which we already talked about. This is a required investment within the community investment portfolio because, and this is really important, we talked about the program manager for this program is CHAFA, who has an established and well-respected track record in this arena. And CHAFA needs certainty in order to stand up the program. So even though it's that portion of the investment is mandatory, I want to repeat that the investment board can turn it off at any time. This bill does not take away from education funding. It just simply does not. It does not take away from funding BEST. Only the investment returns from the fund go to education funding and BEST. So with that, and I think you've heard me yammer on long enough, I'm going to turn it over to my good co-prime.
Senator Mobley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'll be brief. At least 10 people along this journey have told me that's a great idea. That was my idea, including the state treasurer. And so it is a great idea. And I will tell you, it wasn't my idea, but I am really honored to bring this great idea to life for the education community here in Colorado. And supporting people being able to own a home who otherwise will not be able to do that is incredibly meaningful for me, and I think for all of the people who thought up this really great idea. There is nothing reckless that we are doing here. These are safe investments. The entirety of the permanent fund is invested in all kinds of ways. And we are just allowing some additional ways that the money can be invested so that money is invested here in Colorado to benefit Colorado communities. Nothing has been better for my economic stability and that of my family, my kids, than having been able to buy a home when I was younger. It has made all of the difference, and I want us to make sure that our education community can have that same stability. So I urge you to vote yes.
Senator Colker.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the bill sponsors for those comments. And you know, I do agree with those things that are said about the stability on housing and the ability to buy a house and what you can do. I do disagree with some of the things in the bill. I wasn't able to talk 2 days ago. I was under the weather, and it was a long day, so I was just trying to be respectful. So I wanted to get up today and explain my no vote today and clarify some things that were said, I think, in the arguments on Tuesday. One of the arguments made was that the permanent fund has only been getting 10% or 2%, excuse me. It's been conservatively invested. Folks, the 2016 bill changed how the permanent fund could be invested from bonds to actually be invested in equities. Equity holdings are stocks and mutual funds and ETFs. Those equity holdings approximate about 50% of the portfolio, with 40% in fixed income bonds and 10% in more high yield bonds. And its average return, including, you gotta remember, average return includes down markets. So over the last 10 years, the permanent fund has had a 3.41% compounded annual return. That's going to include down markets if you think of 2018, 2022, and so that was through December of last year. It does have a yield, the interest that it pays, of about 3%, and that yield, that interest, kicks off to the BEST grant program, to the state ed fund. It was about $41 million, and now it's being adjusted to go to the BEST grant. My concern with this, taking up to $200 million out, is that yield. I don't know how this bill is going to continue with paying out a yield, which is interest and dividends, and if that yield will then continue to go to those programs. The other concern that I have is that I think it's lacking some guardrails. I agree that it's prioritizing first-time home buyers, and I think that's great. But for people in education, like my wife and myself, I think we would be able to qualify for this, and we have good credit, make enough money where we don't need this program. And I just don't know how that's going to work if they're going to get overwhelmed with people. We would have good credit, and we would qualify for the loan, but we would, not something that we would need to do to go through this process. And the other part of this is sustainability in our school funding. If we're talking about people who are in education and in public schools, and we're talking about people at the lower income levels, they tend to be the people newer to the employment of those school districts. And if we are not going to fund fully schools to be sustainable, and we go into a new BS factor, schools will start making cuts. Who are they going to be cutting? These younger, newer employees, who they'll be cutting. And if they get their job cut, what's going to happen to the creditworthiness of their loan? Are they going to be able to pay that back? So without being able to address those issues, this is a big factor why I'm a no vote here. This is what I do for a living. I don't believe this is no investment is completely safe. I mean, we're looking even at the full faith and credit of the United States government right now being susceptible. So I prefer to hold off on this until we get more sustainable funding to make sure that we're not going to be cutting these people who are going to be taking these loans. and that's why I'm a no vote for. Thank you very much.
Senator Marchman.
You're tall. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise today to respectfully share my deep concerns with Senate Bill 167. I appreciate the creativity of the sponsors and their commitment to addressing Colorado's workforce housing needs. I share that goal, but I have to express my opposition to this bill, not out of ideology, but out of a deep sense of responsibility to our educators and the fiscal stewardship of this chamber. This bill authorizes a significant departure from how we've historically managed the Permanent School Fund, a fund established in our Constitution to benefit public education, not just for today's students, but for the generations to come. SB 167 proposes to invest that fund into shared equity down payment loans, real estate instruments, and mortgage-backed securities. This is not typical conservative investing. This is a shift toward market-exposed financial tools. They carry risk. We're being asked to take one of the most stable, protected endowments in Colorado's history and tie it to a volatile and highly localized real estate market, one with shifting interest rates, inventory shortages, and affordability barriers that have already made homeownership inaccessible for thousands of Colorado educators. The purpose of this bill is to support public school employees in accessing homeownership. But here's what we know. 80% of Colorado teachers can't afford to live in the district where they work, according to the Keystone Policy Center. Colorado ranks 46th in starting teacher salaries, and most educators make too much to qualify for the low-income housing offered here, but not enough to buy into today's housing markets, particularly in areas in Senate District 15 in Boulder and Larimer counties. And this program does not guarantee housing access, it offers a loan. It's a shared equity model where the state receives a portion of the future home appreciation. That's not support, that's a financial product. And for many teachers, that just won't pencil out. I've heard directly from teachers in SD 15. A Loveland Elementary School teacher said, if the legislature wants to help me buy a home, how about helping me afford my groceries first? A high school teacher in St. Vrain said, this feels like another program that headlines well, but it won't apply to me. I can't qualify, and I don't want to give away part of my home value just to get in the door. And a middle school teacher from Turner Middle School reached out to say, I've been teaching for 12 years. I still rent. I'd rather see that money go to raises that reach everyone, not just a few lucky enough to get in early. These aren't complaints. They're thoughtful observations from people who simply want to be paid enough to live in the communities they serve. In the Senate Finance Committee, several Democratic members, myself included, brought forward 5 specific amendments to improve the bill. A sunset clause, which we heard about earlier, an abort mission clause, which would allow the treasurer to wind down the program if the losses begin to compound, because the general fund will indeed have to back those up. We asked to remove MIHA. We asked for transparent reporting, got a little bit of that. So of all of those, we did get a little bit of recording. So while I appreciate that, I believe greater collaboration could have strengthened this bill, both in accountability and fiscal responsibility. I want to be clear, my intent was to work with the sponsors, not to obstruct the bill. I also want to speak to a broader issue. When we're making decisions with long-term consequences, decisions involving constitutional funds and multi-million-dollar commitments, every perspective should be welcome at the table. If we truly want to help educators, we should invest in salaries that reflect the dignity and difficulty of the teaching profession. We should support housing trust fund options tailored to local districts. We should expand stipends, forgivable loans that don't require teachers to enter into shared equity arrangements with the state. These are tools with less risk, more reach, and more respect for our teachers' time, labor, and future. Colleagues, 167 aims to address a real problem, and I thank the sponsors for their efforts. But the solution it offers is incomplete, and in many cases, inaccessible to the very educators it intends to help. It puts public education dollars at risk, creates a new layer of bureaucracy and complexity, and does not resolve the underlying program that too many educators in Colorado are underpaid and overburdened. We owe it to our teachers and to future students to make better policy than this. For that reason, I urge a no vote on Senate Bill 167. Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it. Senator Kipp.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you so much for listening so intently to this conversation today. I just wanted to tell you why I landed as a yes vote on this bill, because when this bill first came out, it wasn't something I was going to be able to support. But my feeling is this bill has landed in a really wonderful place, because what this bill will allow us to do is to use our Colorado dollars and invest those in our Colorado communities for things that are important to us, like housing for teachers. I think it's a pretty simple outcome that I hope you will all be willing to support with me. But investing dollars, investing Colorado dollars in our communities is much more important to me than investing in, some mutual fund somewhere. And I think investing in our teachers gives us a great return on our money. Thank you.
Very good. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. The state permanent fund, the public school fund, helps support public education. So the question we have to answer today in this bill is, what's the best way to support public education in the state of Colorado? What's the best way? This bill says homes for teachers is a better use of these dollars than where they're invested now. So let's look at education funding in the state. Let's look at the role of the permanent fund, and let's really dig into the numbers and see if that's the case. So right now, the permanent fund is at about $732 million. It's the size of the permanent fund. The interest from that fund goes to support public K-12 education in this state. That's about $21 million a year currently that goes from that fund into public education. But you know what? We changed the law. We said you can invest in securities. So best case scenario, maybe they get more like a return like PARA, right? PARA gets about 7% a year, sometimes up, sometimes down, but about 7% a year. So even in the best case scenario, if the fund is $732 million, we're talking about $51 million a year for public K-12 education. Now it's a weird world where you say $51 million a year is really not that much money, but look at how much we spend. Look at how much we invest in public K-12 education every year. The total, if you look at, it's about $9.7 billion from the state and local share. $9.7 billion from the state and local share. It's about $1 billion from the state ed fund. Currently, it's $1.3 billion coming in federal funds, about a couple hundreds of millions from local mill levy overrides. So total, we're looking at about $15 to $16 billion a year that we invest in public K-12 education in the state. It's not enough, but $15 to $16 billion a year, and the state The public school funds contribution to that is $21 million. What's that money doing? Where is it? Well, let's look at where that money is. Let's look at what those dollars are currently supporting. Well, there's about $4.9 million in Morgan Stanley. Okay. There's $878,000 in Anheuser-Busch. There's $927,000 in Dow Chemical. There's $1.4 million in Caterpillar, $1.3 million in Chevron, $1.9 million in Halliburton. Marathon Oil, about $4.9 million. McDonald's, $4.1. I could go on. It's available online. You can look yourselves. There's about, this is important, this is a good thing to know, there's about $216 million currently invested in housing. Oh, right, $216 million in housing. Where? The Government National Mortgage Association is $4.5 million. The Federal National Management Association pool number BR2320 is $5.7 million. Is this helping Coloradans? Is this helping support public education in our state? It is, to the tune of $21 million. Or we could take that $732 million, take a little piece of it, and help teachers afford homes in Colorado. To me, that is a much better investment than a couple $1 million in Chevron. I ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion on 167. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 167. Are there any no votes? Senators Rich, Kirkmeyer, Baisley, Liston, Carson, Colker, Marchman, Gonzalez. With a vote of 27 ayes, 8 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 167 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Doherty, Kipp, Doherty again, Mullica, Snyder, Roberts, Simpson, Exum, Bridges, Ball, Michelson Janae, Henriksen, Cutter, Wallace. Please add the president. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move for the reconsideration of Senate Bill 27.
The motion is for reconsideration of Senate Bill 27. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted and reconsideration is granted. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title to Senate Bill 27.
Senate Bill 27 by Senator Marchman and Representative Joseph concerning the use of trauma-informed practices to address school safety and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Marchman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move SB 27 on third reading and final passage.
The motion is the passage of Senate Bill 27. Is there further discussion? Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader. Frizzell. Rich. Frizzell again. Simpson. Liston. Catlin. Baisley. Pelton R. Carson. Bright. Kirkmeyer. Pelton B. With a vote of 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 27 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Exum, Mr. Schaffler, please read the title to Senate Bill 179.
Senate Bill 179 by Senators Weissman and Snyder and Representatives Carter and Garcia, concerning the continuation of the Identity Theft and Financial Deterrence Act and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the 2024 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies and making and reducing an appropriation.
Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 179 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 179. Are there any no votes? Senators Rich, Baisley, Pelton B., Bright, Frizzell, Liston, Pelton R., Carson, Catlin, with a vote of 26 ayes, 9 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. 179 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Roberts, Wallace, Michelson Janae, Winter, Judah, Cutter, Amabile, Kip, Gonzalez, Colker, Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 181.
Senate Bill 181 by Senators Robertson, Winter, and Representatives Leader and Lukens, concerning the continuation of the Just Transition Advisory Committee and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the 2024 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for third reading and final passage, Senate Bill 181.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 181. Are there any no votes? Senators Kirkmeyer, Rich, Mr. Minority Leader, Pelton B., Bright, Carson, Pelton R., Liston, Baisley, with a vote of 26 ayes, 9 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. Senate Bill 181 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Mullica, Sullivan, Michelson Janae, Cutter, Henriksen, Kip, Judah, Gonzalez, Wallace, Marchman, Snyder, Bridges, Amabile,
Should have brought it back, have it.
Exum, Wiseman.
Can we take a senatorial 5?
Co-sponsors on 181, Winter,
Lay ours over to the end of the calendar.
on your bill. Mr. Schaffler, it's all good. It's all good. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 182.
Senate Bill 182 by Senators Ball and Simpson and Representatives Brown and Weinberg, concerning encouraging the reduction of embodied carbon.
Senator Ball.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 25-182 on third reading and final passage and encourage an aye vote.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 182. Are there any no votes? Senators Baisley. What? Carson. With a vote of 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 182 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senator Winter, Bridges, Cutter, Amabile, Kip, Exum, Doherty, Mr. Schaffler. Please read the title. It's Senate Bill 186.
Senate Bill 186 by Senators Winter and Ball and Representatives Hamrick and Leader, concerning the continuation of the Workers' Compensation Accreditation of Healthcare Providers Program and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the 2024 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies and making an appropriation.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for permission for a third reading. Oh, I have to move the bill first. Okay. I move Senate Bill 186.
Excellent.
And, yes, I request permission for a third reading amendment.
Would you please explain yourself, Senator Winter?
This is completely my fault, and we were very excited about moving through the calendar quickly, and I didn't move the amendment, but it is a cleanup amendment. It clarifies optometrist, and then it brings it into alignment on Title 12, which is the Colorado Medical Practice Act, within the drafting, and so this doesn't substantively change the bill, and I asked for permission because I got excited about moving things quickly yesterday.
I don't know about y'all, but that's a phenomenal explanation. The question for the body is Senator Winter's request for permission to offer third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. What? The ayes have it. Permission is granted. There's a member of the desk. Mr. Schaffler, please read L001 to 186.
Amendment L001.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move L001.
To the amendment.
This is basically a cleanup amendment that brings it into the Colorado Medical Practice Act as it should be drafted.
Further discussion on L001. Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of L001 and Senate Bill 186. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, L001 and 186 is adopted. Further discussion on 186. Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 186. Are there any no votes?
Thank you.
Senators Rich, Baisley, Carson, Frizzell, Pelton R, Pelton B, Kirkmeyer, Mr. Minority Leader, Catlin, Simpson, Liston, Bright. With a vote of 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 186 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Sullivan, Gonzalez, Judah, Kip, Wallace, Michelson Janae, Cutter, Exum, members will take a brief senatorial 5. Esther said you don't have the votes. I'm just joking. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title. Oh, co-sponsors on, we already did that?
It'll go down in posterity.
Mr. Schaffler, please add Senator Bridges as a co-sponsor on Senate Bill 186. And when you're ready, Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 189.
Senate Bill 189 by Senators Liston and Snyder and Representatives Soper and Espinosa concerning requiring a jury to determine whether a defendant has prior qualifying convictions and in connections therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move Senate Bill 189 on third reading and final passage, and I ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion. Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. President. Folks, I just want to make sure we all understand. Colorado will be going to a jury determination on habitual status. That comes right out of the Supreme Court Erlinger decision of last year. So we either do it by this well-stakeholdered bill where all the legal entities have been involved and crafted language, or we let the Colorado Supreme Court decide. But realize we are very vulnerable right now, and a lot of cases that were decided by a judge on habitual status are subject to being overturned if we don't get something passed soon. So I would also ask you for a yes vote.
Very good. Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 189. Are there any no votes? Senators Ball please add Senator Henriksen as a no vote on 189. No vote on 189, Senator Gonzalez. With a vote of 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 189 is passed. Co-sponsors. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 192.
Senate Bill 192 by Senators Doherty and Judah and Representatives Espinosa and Ferre, concerning the continuation of functions related to the regulation of community integrated healthcare service agencies and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations in the 2024 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Judah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move SB 25-192 for final passage.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 192. Are there any no votes? Senators Baisley, Carson, Pelton R., Bright, Mr. Minority Leader, Pelton B., Liston, Frizzell, Catlin, with a vote of 26 ayes, 9 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 192 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Michaels and Janae, Kip, Cutter, Mr. Schaffler, please read the title to Senate Bill 193.
Senate Bill 193 by Senators Ball and Mullica and Representatives Garcia-Sander and McCormick, concerning the continuation of the primary care payment reform collaborative.
Look at that power walk. That's good. Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 193, third reading on final passage.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 193. Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader. Baisley.
Most bills.
Pelton R. Carson.
The good-looking one. That's
Bright.
debatable.
Pelton B. With a vote of 29 ayes, 6 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 193 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Michelson Janae, Cutter, Amabile, Wallace,
Yeah, good work. Thank you, too.
Judah, Marchman, Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 194.
Senate Bill 194 by Senators Michelson, Janae, and Mullica and Representatives Duran and Hartsock, concerning the continuation of the Dental Practice Act.
Senator Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 25-194 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 194. Are there any no votes? Senators Rich, Baisley, Pelton R., Carson, Frizzell, with a vote of 30 ayes, 5 no. Oh, there is another no vote on Senate Bill 194. Senator Marchman. Other no votes on 194. Senator Ball. Other no votes. With a vote of 28 ayes, 7 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 194 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senator Bridges.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, please add Senator Roberts as the co-sponsor on 194 and Senator Exum. Yeah. It's a beautiful smile. We sure would be ashamed. That's funny. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title, Senate Bill 158.
Senate Bill 158 by Senators Sullivan and Gonzalez and Representatives Froelich and Brown concerning creating state procurement policies for state agencies and the treatment of certain items related to weapons.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we move Senate Bill 158 on third reading and final passage, and we ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 158. Are there any no votes? Senators, Mr. Minority Leader, Kirkmeyer, Frizzell, Rich, Simpson, Pelton B, Baisley, Bright, Liston, Carson, Pelton R, Catlin. Other no votes. Roberts. With a vote of 22 ayes, 13 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 158 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Wallace, Amabile, Judah, Henriksen, Kip, Weissman, Cutter, Majority Leader not for co-sponsor, but to call on you. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move for the reconsideration of Senate Bill 194.
The motion is for reconsideration of Senate Bill 194. All those in favor say aye. Wow. Opposed, no? Yeah, I feel like the noes have it, but that motion is adopted and reconsideration is granted. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 194.
Senate Bill 194 by Senators Michelson, Janae, and Mullica and Representatives Duran and Hartsook concerning the continuation of the Dental Practice Act.
Senator Michelson, Janae.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 194 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion?
And
you
request a third reading amendment.
Ooh-wee.
Request permission to offer a third reading amendment.
Madam President Pro Tem, please explain yourself. Why would you need a third reading amendment?
We had a couple of technical errors that this will fix. The first part is conforming language, and the second part where we're substituting dentist for dental hygienist.
The question before the body is Senator...
I said that wrong. Striking dentist and substituting dental for dental hygienist.
There we go. The question for the body is Senator Michael Janae's request for permission to offer third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Man, I don't know. My hearing's bad. I think the ayes have it, and that permission is granted. Amendment of the desk. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of L18 to 194.
Amendment L18, amend and gross bill, page 8, line 22,
like to
and
raise their
after
hand?
shall, insert not.
Oh, Senator Michaelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Amendment L18,
To the amendment, Senator Michaelson Janae.
as explained prior.
Excellent. Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of L18 on 194. Are there any no votes? With a vote, there is a no vote. Senator Marchman is a no on adoption for L18. Oh, okay. Senator Marchman is a yes on L18. Any no votes on L18? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of L18. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, L18 is adopted. Who would like to move the bill? Oh, further discussion.
I move Senate Bill 194 as amended for third reading and final passage.
Excellent. Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the passage of 194. Are there any no votes? Senators Marchman, Gonzalez, Frizzell, Rich, Ball, Frizzell again, Baisley, Pelton R, Carson, with, Senator Pelton B. We're voting on 194. No votes on 194. With a, is there, Senator Catlin is a no vote on 194. With a vote of 25 ayes, 10 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, 194 is passed. Co-sponsors.
What do you do?
On your bill. After having voted no, add Senator Gonzalez as a co-sponsor on 194. Yeah. You can vote no and get credit for passing this bill.
We're still on what, are we on 158?
We're on next up is 158.
Next up is 158.
No, we did 158.
It's 11:54.
Go ahead.
We did 158 already. The
It's okay, though. I've been thrown out of better places. I believe it when I see it.
Right.
We'll take a Senate 205. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of House Bill 1154.
House Bill 1154 by Representatives Brown and Froelich and Senators Judah and Amabile concerning communication services for people with disabilities and in connection therewith creating the Communication Services for People with Disabilities Enterprise and making and reducing an appropriation.
Senator Judah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 251154 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1154. Are there any no votes? Senators Kirkmeyer, Rich, Frizzell, Mr. Minority Leader, Pelton B, Simpson, Bright, Mr. Minority Leader again, no more, Carson, Pelton R, twice, Catlin, Baisley, with a vote of 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1154 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Mullica, Winter, Wallace, Kipp, Michelson Janae, Cutter, Colker, Danielson, Gonzalez, Ball, Exum, Doherty. Co-sponsors on 1154. Please add the president. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of House Bill 1219.
House Bill 1219 by Representatives Phillips and Barone and Senators Mullica and Frizzell concerning requirements for metropolitan districts that aid the public's understanding of metropolitan districts.
Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1219 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion to passage of House Bill 1219. Are there any no votes? Senators Bright, Baisley, Carson, Mr. Minority Leader? With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1219 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Bridges, Henriksen, Kipp, Marchman, Judah, Cutter, Amabile, Exum, Doherty, Roberts, Michelson Janae, Mr. Schaffler, please read the title to House Bill 1272.
House Bill 1272 by Representatives Byrd and Basenaker and Senators Coleman and Roberts concerning housing.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1272 and ask permission to offer a third reading amendment.
What?
I know.
With all the work that's been done on this bill, well, Senator Roberts, would you please tell us why you need to offer a third reading amendment?
Yes, this is a big one, folks. This amendment would change the word personal to person. It was a typo.
I recall. The motion, the question of the body is Senator Roberts' request for permission to offer third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and permission is granted. There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, please read L52.
Amendment L52.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move L52.
Proper motion. Any discussion on L52? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of L52 to 1272. Are there any no votes? Senator Liston. With a vote of 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, L52 to 1272 is adopted. Further discussion on the bill. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if I move House Bill 1272 as amended on third reading, final passage.
Very good. Further discussion on the bill. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since we are offering third reading amendments on a bill entitled Concerning Housing, I request permission to offer a third reading amendment.
Senator Gonzalez, will you please tell us why you would offer a third reading amendment? Why would you like to offer one?
Because I can, Mr. President.
You know what? Out of sheer fear, the motion is Senator Gonzalez's permission to offer a third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
Moment of truth, Mr. President.
The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted.
Absolutely. Welcome. Come on in. Let's have some fun with this,
Senator
guys.
Gonzalez, is there an amendment? Is there a conceptual amendment?
I've got one.
I have to do what my secretary tells me.
Senatorial 5.
Senatorial 5 has been requested and granted. Senator Gonzalez.
Friends and colleagues, this is why, let this be a lesson to each of you. Never, oh yeah. Thank you, colleagues. Let this be a lesson to us all. Know the rules so you can figure out which ones to use when you need them most. With that, Mr. President, I withdraw my request for permission to offer a third reading amendment.
And let the church say, amen. Senator Bright.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the effort to address this concern of housing all the way up until the very last minute. And I feel like there's more work to be done here, and I'm anxious even for next session so that we can further incentivize construction for affordable housing for all of Colorado. So I will be enthusiastically supporting House Bill 1272 and look forward to next session where we can do some more work.
Very good. Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. In all seriousness, I rise in support of 1272. The ancient Chinese proverb says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It seems as though we've taken 2 or 3 or 4 steps on that 1,000-mile journey, but we have so much further to go in this question of construction defects and the litigation that is preventing the development of starter housing. You can't get started anymore in Colorado. You can't find a place to live if you're trying to build a family. Multi-family for-sale product is just not being built. And this bill is a small step in the right direction, but we've got to get much more serious about this, colleagues. I happen to have a Senate Bill 131 lying in queue, yet to be heard in committee, that I think addresses in a bigger way. And I would hope that as we try to get to that conversation, we can expand on the success that 1272 has provided to us. So I rise in support. The support is lukewarm only because it does not go far enough, but it's still support for the idea that we must, colleagues, must get serious. If we were going to pick 3 or 4 or 5 critical goals for a General Assembly, buildings, affordable housing, so people can start to build a family in their own home is exactly what we should be doing. Thank you for 1272, but let's drive forward in this conversation.
Further discussion on 1272. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1272. Are there any no votes? Senators Weissman, Gonzalez, Danielson. With a vote of 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1272 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Bright, Mullica, Catlin, Liston, Kirkmeyer, Mr. Minority Leader, Frizzell, Baisley, Rich, Doherty, Exum, Henriksen, Simpson, Carson, Amabile, Bridges, Marchman, Kipp, Pelton R. Would the Majority Leader like to co-sponsor this bill?
You're lucky I was a yes.
Please keep your vote.
But we need to reconsider.
All right. Oh, co-sponsor on 1272, Snyder.
We might as well stop because we got to do this again. We might as well stop because we got to do it again. This one.
Majority Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move for the reconsideration of House Bill 1272.
The motion is for the reconsideration of House Bill 1272. This requires unanimous consent. I'm just joking. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted and reconsideration is granted. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of House Bill 1272.
House Bill 1272 by Representatives Byrd and Basnaker and Senators Coleman and Roberts concerning housing.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I once again am happy and proud to move House Bill 1272 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1272. Are there any no votes? Senator Judah. Danielson. Gonzalez. Weissman. With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1272 is passed again. Co-sponsors. All the people who already have their hands up. Got everybody so far. And Senator Gonzalez is a co-sponsor? Okay. You can? Senator Gonzalez, would you like to be a co-sponsor? Rudy Carson, Motherka. Got you guys. All right, Mr. Schaffler, please read the title to House Bill 1117.
House Bill 1117 by Representatives Joseph and Basnaker and Senators Gonzalez and Weissman concerning the regulation of vehicle immobilization companies.
Senator Weissman.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move the adoption of House Bill 1117 on third reading and final passage.
Further
And for a yes
discussion.
vote.
There is discussion. A strong hand was raised. Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a quick question for the good senator from Denver with regard to her bill. I just want to know, your cars are parked along the street, and when you are walking down the sidewalk to your car and your toes fall off, I want to know what you're going to do.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so much for the question. I'm going to call a tow truck.
Yes.
Very good. Seeing no further discussion. Quickly, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1117.
Julie,
Are there any no
stay
votes?
here.
What?
You gotta
After that banter? No votes? Senator Kirkmeyer. Frizzell. Rich? Mr. Minority
She's been writing
Leader.
this policy for a long time.
Roberts.
She's heard it all.
Simpson. Baisley. Bright. Catlin. Carson. Liston. The Peltons, Pelton R and Pelton B. With a vote of 22 ayes, 13 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1117 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Wallace, Kip, Judah, Kip, Michelson Janae, Kip, Winter, Henriksen, Cutter, Exum,
We're reconsidering your bill. Making sure Tom knows.
please add the president. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move, having voted on the prevailing side, I move for the reconsideration of Senate Bill 158.
The motion is for the reconsideration of Senate Bill 158. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted and reconsideration is granted. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 158.
Senate Bill 158 by Senator Sullivan and Gonzalez and Representative Froelich and Brown concerning creating state procurement policies for state agencies in the treatment of certain items related to weapons.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. So nice, we're going to do it twice. We move for the passage of Senate Bill 158 on third reading, final passage, and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 158. Are there any no votes? Senators Kirkmeyer, Frizzell, Rich, Mr. Minority Leader, Simpson, Pelton B, Baisley, Liston, Catlin, Carson, Pelton R, Bright, Roberts, with a vote of 22 ayes, 13 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 158 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Colker, Weissman, Kip, Michelson Janae, Wallace, Marchman, Danielson, Judah. Please add the president. And Senator Cutter. General orders, second reading of the bills. Consent calendar. Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself to the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order, second reading of the bills, and Senator Mullica will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the court rule is relaxed for everyone. Will the clerk please read the title of all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
Senate Bill 169 by Senators Judah and Pelton-R and Representative Zakai concerning the implementation of a restaurant meals program for certain recipients of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Senate Bill 195 by Senators Marchman and Michelson Janae and Representatives Stewart and Johnson concerning the continuation of the Rural Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Program and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the 2024 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the passage of the two bills on general order, second reading of bill consent calendar, which is Senate Bill 169 in the Agricultural and Natural Resources Report and Senate Bill 195 in the Health and Human Services Report.
Is there any discussion on the committee reports? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the committee reports on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the consent calendar? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The committee will rise and report.
Damn, that's correct. Senate will come to order. Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met, had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
April 17, 2025. Mr. President, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 169 as amended, Senate Bill 195 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is adopted in the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 169 is amended, 195 is amended, passed the second reading, order engrossed, place account of third reading, and final passage. General orders, second reading of bills. Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order, second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. What? But the ayes have it. And that motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself in Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order, second reading of bills. And Senator Mullica will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the court rule is relaxed for everyone. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 127 until Thursday, May the 8th.
Motion before the body is to lay over Senate Bill 127 till Thursday, May the 8th. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 127 will be laid over to May the 8th. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1283?
House Bill 1283 by Representatives Duran and Winter and Senators Marchman and Liston concerning measures that implement the Wild Horse Working Group's legislative recommendations.
Senator Marchman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1283 and the Ag and Natural Resource report.
To the Ag and Natural Resources Committee report.
Great. In committee, we just clarified that we would continue using humane, non-lethal alternatives to long-term confinement for the wild horses that are taken off of Colorado's wild horse ranges or held in federal holding facilities.
Is there any further discussion on the Ag and Natural Resources Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Ag and Natural Resources Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Ag and Natural Resources Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, basically what this legislation does is implements the working group's recommendation that focused on several areas. Number one, creating a permanent wild horse program within the Colorado Department of Agriculture to ensure continuity and sustainability. Number two, it addresses the immunocontraception support by providing resources and coordination for scientifically proven fertility control methods. Number three, the advisory committee creation. It establishes an ongoing expert advisory committee to maintain the collaborative approach. And number four, for the adoption support systems, developing training programs and support systems to increase successful adoption outcomes. And we had overwhelming support for this bill. We asked for an aye vote.
Senator Marchman.
Thank you, and I am just going to add that there is no new funding needed to continue this program. CDA is going to use the remaining funding that was provided in SB 23-275, and we've also been able to add the Southern Ute Indian Tribe and the Ute Mountain Ute Indian Tribe to have an appointment on the advisory group. So would really urge your support of this policy. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1283. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and House Bill 1283 is passed. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Where am I? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 30 until Monday, April 21st.
The motion before the body is to lay over Senate Bill 30 till Monday, April 21st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 30 will be laid over to April 21st. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over 155 to the end of the calendar.
The motion before the body is to lay over Senate Bill 1. No. Good. I can just lay it over. Senate Bill 155 will be laid over to the bottom of the calendar. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 8?
Senate Bill 8 by Senators Henderson and Kipp and Representative Froelich concerning adjustments to the necessary document program administered by the Office of Health Equity and the Department of Public Health and Environment.
Senator Hendrickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 8 and the Health and Human Services Committee report.
To the Health and Human Services Committee report. Senator Kipp.
Thank you. We made a technical adjustment in the committee report and asked for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the adoption of the Health and Human Services Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Health and Human Services Committee report is adopted. To the bill.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Chair.
Hendrickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 8, but first.
The bill's been moved. There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L3?
Amendment L3, amend printed bill, page 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L003 to Senate Bill 8.
It's a proper motion to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Beginning in 2006, Colorado philanthropic organizations raised money for low-income individuals to access the needed ID documents that this program deals with. The ID documents programs originated from generous gifts, grants, and donations until the costs were too much for the individual organizations to manage. This resulted in a legislative effort to appropriate $300,000 in general funds to support this important initiative. The need for these documents has only grown, far outweighing the current funding. However, in the interest of fiscally responsible solutions, we ask that this program be permitted to continue to accept the gift grants and donations to help offset the programmatic costs. This amendment will allow for that to continue. I ask for an aye vote on L003.
Before we move on, Senator Henderson, if we're going to talk anymore, can you just make sure that the microphone's close to your mouth? I'm having a tough time hearing you. Senator Kipp.
Thank you. And to be very clear, this amendment speaks specifically to additional money so that we can help more people with the gifts, grants, and donations.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L3? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment L3 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Kipp.
You know, folks, this is a really great bill. I'm honored to co-prime it with my colleague from Pueblo. For small investments of amounts around like $12 to $30, we can get people hooked up with the documents that they need, those necessary documents to allow them to receive food benefits or to pursue jobs or pursue whatever is next in their lives. But without these documents, people are stuck, and we need to give people a path forward. So I ask for a yes vote on this bill.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 8. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 8 is passed. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 69?
Senate Bill 69 by Senators Catlin and Roberts and Representatives Lukens and Velasco concerning the use of traction devices on motor vehicles on highways for winter conditions.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 69 and the Transportation and Energy Committee report.
To the Transportation and Energy Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We added several amendments in committee, which was over 2 months ago at this point, but some important amendments. One, we made sure that we were closing the loophole in the passenger traction law that was allowing some folks who still didn't have adequate traction to not be under the traction law on I-70. So we closed that loophole. We also adopted some amendments as the result of conversations with the Municipal League and some of our municipal partners' concerns, and then an amendment about the car rental portion of the bill, and that is the committee report. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Transportation and Energy Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Transportation and Energy Committee report is adopted. To the bill. There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L4?
Amendment L4.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L004.
That's a proper motion to the amendment.
This amendment is coming from the results of a few more conversations with the rental car operators. We just wanted to make clear that the requirements that we're putting on the rental car companies to notify customers about the adequacy of their rentals tires starts at the time of rental. And it's a good clarifying amendment. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment L4 is adopted. To the bill. Senator Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a bill that's been asked for a number of years. It gives us an opportunity to do something in a positive fashion that will allow permits to be received by third-party vendors, that will allow them to put the chains on some of these heavy trucks up in the mountains during these snowfall events. If you've been on I-70, or otherwise known as a slow-rolling parking lot during the winter, you'll know that some of the folks are not able to put them on. Maybe they don't know how. But this is something that will allow them to pull into the chain-up stations and have someone who does know how to put them on for them. They pay for that service, and we keep the highway moving. I-70 is getting to be a joke amongst others around the state, but it's certainly not a joke to the people that live on I-70 and that try to do commerce up and down that highway. along with some of our other high mountain passes in the winter. Senate Bill 69 will give us an opportunity to offer something that can help, rather than to continue to fine people or threaten people or those kind of things. This is a positive that says we'll promote it. Come to the side of the road. We'll put them on for you for a fee, and you can continue to move on without paying heavy fines. This is a good bill. Please vote yes.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the good senator from Montrose for his work on this bill and his continued partnership as we try to improve the conditions of our mountain highways, I-70 and other mountain passes. We've done several pieces of legislation on this topic over the years, and I'm very excited that we're moving Senate Bill 69 forward. This is an example of the motor vehicle industry, the truckers, coming to us and saying, we need this assistance. We want to be a part of the solution. We know there are problems with trucks putting on their chains or not putting on their chains. And this is a proven success that is happening in other states. Oregon, Washington, California all have very successful chain assist programs that have been operating for many years. And they help reduce the number of crashes and closures by making sure that drivers can get their chains on properly. So I want to thank them for their partnership and their proactive solution-oriented suggestion here to be a part of the solution on our mountain highways. More chains means less closures, less crashes, and better efficiency. I also just want to point to a few other parts of this bill that are going to help improve things on I-70 and mountain passes across the state. We are closing the loophole, as I mentioned. A few years ago, we passed a passenger traction law to make sure that cars on I-70 had the right traction, passenger vehicles, but there was a little bit of a loophole that we didn't anticipate when that bill passed. So we are closing that and making sure that people have adequate traction regardless of whether their car is all-wheel drive or not. And then third, we know rental cars are a big issue too because people fly into DIA or other airports and it's sunny and not snowy and they rent a car that isn't ready to go up on I-70. We want the rental car companies to tell their customers what the traction laws are and whether the car they're about to rent has the right tires, and if it doesn't, then hopefully they can make a different decision. This isn't going to solve all the problems that we have on I-70. As somebody that drives down here almost every day on I-70 from the mountains, I know there are a lot of other things we have to do, but this is another piece in that puzzle and another positive step forward that will prevent some closures, it will prevent some crashes, and it will keep the corridor moving a little bit more efficiently. So thank you for that, and I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 69. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 69 is passed. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
75.
Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 75?
Senate Bill 75 by Senator Gonzalez and Representative Espinosa and Bacon concerning the Motor Vehicle Dealers Board's consideration of an individual's criminal convictions when issuing a license.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, colleagues. I move Senate Bill 75 on second reading along with the Judiciary Committee report. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. To the Judiciary Committee report. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the Senate Judiciary Committee, we adopted an amendment to clarify the purpose and intent of the program. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Judiciary Committee report is adopted. To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 75. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 75 is passed. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 122?
That's right. Senate Bill 122 by Senator Coleman and Simpson and Representatives Bacon in English concerning extending the Emily Keyes John W. Buckner Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Fund indefinitely.
Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 122.
That's a proper motion to the bill. Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a moment to thank President Coleman and former senator from Aurora who asked me to partake in this bill in honor of John Buckner, I was really humbled at that request, and good bill. I'm happy to be part of it, and ask for your support for Senate Bill 122.
Seeing no further discussion, the question or motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 122. All those in favor say aye.
Hey!
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 122 is passed. Will the clerk please read the title of the Senate Bill 126?
Senate Bill 126 by Senator Snyder and Representative Espinosa concerning the Uniform Antitrust Pre-Merger Notification Act.
Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 126 and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Appropriations Committee report. Senator Snyder.
So in the Appropriations Committee, we talked about it, and they approved us at the current level of funding. We've been working hard to get that number reduced. It's been a challenge. It's ongoing, but I ask you to vote yes on the Appropriations Committee report.
The motion before the body is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Appropriations Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a Uniform Law Commission bill. It is entitled the Uniform Antitrust Pre-Merger Notification Act. So as you may know or may not know, when large concerns, national concerns and others want to merge, they have to file what's called a Scott-Hart-Rodino filing with the Judicial Department and the Attorney General's office and the U.S. Attorney General. And then what happens is there's no way for them to notify states of these pending mergers. And I've talked to our Attorney General's office. They often find out about a proposed merger in the papers. So what this would do for states that adopt this law, then their attorney generals will automatically get those Scott-Hart-Rodino filings immediately. And there's a lot of other guardrails in here, but it would allow them to begin investigating to see if there's an antitrust issue here in Colorado. And then if other states join, they do have the ability to share that information amongst other members who have adopted the same bill, but there's a lot of real strong confidentiality protections in there. So that information won't be public, it won't be publicly disclosed. It's really a good bill. It creates, it improves the efficiency, it removes unnecessary costs and delays. Now, if our Attorney General's office wants to hear about one of these filings, they actually have to issue a subpoena to the federal government for those Hart-Scott-Rodino. So this is a good, clean, streamlined bill, and I would ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 126. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 126 is passed. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 161 until Monday, April the 21st.
The motion before the body is to lay over Senate Bill 161 until Monday, April 21st. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 161 will be laid over until Monday, April 21st. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 155?
Senate Bill 155 by Senator Gonzalez and Representative Clifford concerning the creation of an advisory council for persons who are incarcerated.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move Senate Bill 155 along with the Judiciary and Appropriations Committee report. No, Judiciary Committee reports.
That's a proper motion to the Judiciary Committee report. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We heard powerful testimony, ran amendments to clarify the parameters of the program, and ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Judiciary Committee report is adopted. To the bill. Senator Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I encourage an aye vote on Senate Bill 155. Senate Bill 155 puts into statute a group called Legislation Inside that has existed for several years. This is a group that is formed of inmates across our state that makes recommendation on policy as it impacts them. And this is a very, very important voice that was elevated during SMART Act hearings that will be continued by this group, and much in the way that we have COIAC and other groups. Anytime that we make policy, I think it's important that we listen to the folks that policy impacts, whether that's healthcare, education, or in this case, criminal justice, and would encourage an aye vote so that we can continue to make thoughtful policy that improves our prison system with the voice of these individuals.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my co-prime sponsor from the east side of Denver. I will just say, as a fundamental sort of starting point here, that I think that we all try to seek input from the people directly implicated by the policies that we work on. And in my 7 years serving on the Judiciary Committee, we often talk about staffing, rehabilitative programming, safety of inmates, staff, and visitors to our correctional facilities, but a missing voice of how those programs, how those policies are working or how they're not working are the inmates themselves. Let me remind y'all that 9 out of 10 people who currently serve within our Department of Correction facilities will come back to community. And so having a pro-social environment for them to, one, step up and apply, to hold an election, to be able to serve on as one of the 35 elected representatives across all security levels in both men's and women's facilities. Buena Vista Correctional, Territorial, Fremont, Arkansas Valley, La Vista, DRDC, Sterling, Denver Women's, Beacon at Skyline, CSP, Trinidad Correctional, Centennial Correctional, and San Carlos. Those are entities right now who already have this program in place. We've worked alongside the Department of Corrections to ensure that this is workable for them. And when we know that 9 out of 10 individuals is going to come back, why not remind them that their voice matters, that they have dignity as human beings, although they have caused harm to the public for which they are now being deprived of their liberty. They have the opportunity to rehabilitate. They have the opportunity to rehabilitate. That's not a partisan statement. That's a human statement. And so being able to ensure that there are pro-social programs that will support individuals while they're incarcerated to hopefully not come back in the future, I think is an important policy for us to consider. Thank you so much. We have, through our work with both the Corey Wise Innocence Project, the organization that currently is facilitating this program, and with the Department of Corrections, removed the fiscal impact to this bill as this program gets, hopefully, should this bill pass, be codified into law and get off the ground as a formalized entity. And so I think we all want transparency. I think we all want better outcomes. In order to do that, let's ensure that actually everybody has a seat at the table to think through and contemplate and understand how we make those efforts real. Thank you.
Senator Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One more thing to add. I know we've got some colleagues who may have questions about this, so I do want to make clear the implementation of this will be delayed. So this is not an end run around the work that we've done to decide that certain legislative Interim committees will not be meeting this summer. This will not be meeting this summer either. We've delayed this, and in the future can consider this alongside all of the other interim committees we have. So this doesn't undo any of the work that we've done budget-related to suspend interim committees this summer.
Any further discussion on Senate Bill 155? Senator Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we heard this bill in Judiciary Committee, and I voted against it, and I'd like to explain some concerns that I have with the legislation. So this creates a advisory council to advise the legislature on various pieces of legislation. I'll just read the main part of the bill. The intent of the legislation inside Advisory Council is to provide people who are incarcerated with the opportunity to identify, examine, and discuss the issues, interests, and needs that directly affect them and have a recognized opinion on legislation and policies that affect their lives, their families, their communities, and the public. Now, my feeling is folks that are incarcerated have a lot of outlets already to make recommendation. And I had to kind of do a double take on this bill because I didn't really understand what it was all about at first. But, I mean, let's think about this. I mean, incarcerated folks have, obviously, the public defenders if they need them. They have legal advisors they can consult with. There's oversight by the courts and by judges. They can petition us. I mean, there's nothing that prevents incarcerated folks already from petitioning their legislators, writing us letters, contacting us in one form or another. They can certainly provide comments currently on legislation that's before the General Assembly. They have attorneys, they have outlets at the facilities to you know, provide input, register their concerns with the way they're being handled and the way they're being treated. And so I would see this, you know, this program, if we are going to have it, should be restricted somewhat in the type of recommendations that are made. And so I have an amendment here I'd like to put.
There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L6?
Amendment L6, amend printed bill, page 11,
Senator
after line
Carson.
20.
I move Amendment L006, Mr. Chairman.
That's a proper motion to the amendment.
So what this amendment does is it basically says, notwithstanding the other provisions in the bill, this council shall not make a recommendation for legislation or an alternative policy solution, and the review committee shall not recommend a bill that, number one, makes legal an action that is currently a criminal or petty offense. Number two, a recommendation that reduces or eliminates penalties associated with criminal or petty offenses. And number three, changes eligibility regarding release in advance of the person's imposed sentence, probation, or parole. So the general thinking in my mind is we're going to have this organization to make recommendations. Maybe they're going to be making recommendations about the resources they're provided in the facility. Maybe they're concerned about the quality of medical care or of the food that's provided, whatever it might be. But I think when they're getting into making recommendations about what should be a criminal offense or what shouldn't be a criminal offense, or particularly about their own sentences of like, coming to the legislature and saying, well, I don't think that, serving 18 months for that particular crime is correct. It should be 3 months or 5 months. And certainly recommendations about parole and release and these type of things. I mean, that's up to the parole board. that's up to the processes that we have in place right now. And coming into the legislature with recommendations around what's proper sentencing or what are the proper penalties for offenses that folks are incarcerated for. I don't think that folks in Colorado are going to be looking favorably on a commission set up to have incarcerated folks coming into the legislature in a very formal process and saying, hey, we'd like you to change this law. We'd like to see changes in sentencing or punishments or definition of this crime or that crime, or policies around, when and if folks should be given probation or parole, or how. I mean, the way it's written now, we could be getting recommendations about particular, cases that folks are saying, well, this particular person, and if I'm incorrect about that, I'll defer to the sponsors, but this could get into some pretty detailed stuff about how different cases have been handled. And as I said earlier, I think there are already a lot of outlets for incarcerated folks to submit concerns, complaints to the facility. If it, in serious cases, they have access to legal counsel, public defenders. They have, resources that they can come. As I said, there's nothing to prevent them from coming to the legislature now with ideas. But this really formalizes the process in a way that I think, at a minimum, we should put some more guidelines in here about the type of recommendations that are going to be made. So I would urge my colleagues to support this amendment, L006.
Senator Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I appreciate the comments and this amendment. I would ask for a no vote on Amendment L006 for a few reasons. The first, just to make clear, this amendment does not describe, to my knowledge, any of the policy recommendations that legislation inside has made to this point. This really is not a group of inmates who are arguing that they shouldn't have been punished for their crimes or that they should get out early or come to the table proposing legislation that gets them out early. That's really not what this group of individuals is. This is a group who has largely been in prison for quite a while, who bring legislation that impacts the conditions in prisons, impacts the programs that they see related to rehabilitation, impacts things that they see and observe that they believe can make their experience better and also make it better for everybody. Things that can be implemented that increase the chances that individuals leave rehabilitated. So I think that this amendment is largely irrelevant. I would also say any recommendations that come out of this advisory council, just like any recommendations that come from any other interim committee, come through this body. So if there is a fear that we are going to get recommendations that fall along these lines, I think that's already accounted for by the fact that we have this body, and ultimately we are the ones who pass the laws. We are not delegating that responsibility in any way. And lastly, I would just note, I understand that criminal justice can be a hot button issue in this building. I truly don't see this bill as something that merits being made into a hot button issue. This is truly about increasing the how well we do something that we have to do. One of the things that we have to do in our state is we have to have prisons. We have to have a system of jails, and it's incumbent upon us to make those as good as possible, to make them work, to make it so that people leave and they don't come back. And that's what legislation inside is intended to do, and we don't place restrictions around our other committees in the same way. We don't place restrictions on COIAC because of policies we're afraid that they'll recommend. And I don't think that we should do that here either. So I encourage a no vote on Amendment L006.
Senator Carson.
Thank you to my colleague from Denver. I would just...
Senator Carson, can you pull the mic to your a little bit? I can't hear
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment effectively limits the advisory council authority, ensuring that decisions around topics like sentencing and decriminalization remain firmly within the purview of elected officials and the legislative process. By restricting the council's recommendations, it minimizes the potential for unelected bodies to influence critical aspects of criminal justice policy. This can help prevent hasty or radical changes that could arise from advisory groups unaligned with public sentiment or the law-abiding process, the lawmaking process. Given how the General Assembly has uncritically endorsed various advisory committees' legislative recommendations in the past, it's important to establish guardrails around this particular one. And this amendment ensures that bad proposals aren't rubber-stamped by the General Assembly. So I would just ask for an aye vote on Amendment 006. I think it puts some reasonable guardrails around the council. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L006. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment L006 is lost. To the bill, Senator Bright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand the intent of this bill, Senate Bill 155. I can appreciate what it's trying to achieve, and I feel like with everything that we consider in this chamber, we want to make sure that there's a good level of accountability so that we know that these things are working the way that they were designed. I feel like 155 could use an extra address or address accountability in a new way. With that,
There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L7?
Amendment L7.
Senator Bright.
thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment
Senator Bright,
establishes.
do you want to move Amendment L7?
I would move Amendment L007, Senate Bill 155.
That's a proper motion to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment establishes accountability measures requiring regular public reports on the recommendations made by the Advisory Council and their outcomes. By protecting regular public reports on the Advisory Council's recommendations and their outcomes, this amendment ensures that government actions are subject to the scrutiny by the public. This increased visibility allows citizens to hold officials accountable for their decisions and promotes responsible governance. Moreover, this amendment fosters a culture where government initiatives are evaluated based on their effectiveness. Ultimately, this amendment ensures that the government prioritizes the needs and concerns of the constituents as opposed to the narrow constituency who happen to be incarcerated for not following law in the first place. And so I really hope that we can get these accountability measures built into Senate Bill 155. And I would encourage my colleagues to speak on those accountability issues if desired. And I would encourage an aye vote on Amendment L007.
Senator Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the good senator from Platteville for bringing this amendment forward. I encourage a no vote on Amendment L007. Similar to the last amendment, I think this is largely duplicative. I would note that, like any bill, a bill that comes from a recommendation from legislation side would have a fiscal note, and that fiscal note would include many of the things that are included in the first paragraph of this amendment. I would also note that we already in our SMART Act hearings do reviews of legislation passed the previous session to evaluate the effectiveness of the implementation. So this amendment, again, strikes me as pretty duplicative of the rules that apply to all legislation. And maybe I would just close with a question, which is, what's behind, what's the fear? What is the fear of what will happen if we don't have this amendment? Because this strikes me as safeguards that exist throughout our entire legislative process, and the issues that this highlights don't strike me as anything specific to this particular body.
Senator Bright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To answer the question that was brought up, what's the fear? I feel like the fear as exists with all of my constituents and the folks of Colorado, the fear is that we create programs that are not necessarily effective and not necessarily efficient. And so simple reporting, just like any sort of financial reporting on any endeavor, quells the fear that folks might have about how effective and how efficient the program is. So I think fear is healthy because it helps us develop those guardrails to make sure that we're as successful as possible with our endeavors, especially things that come out of this.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that response. First things first, I would invite you to attend the LI meetings because they happen weekly. There have been legislators from both chambers, both parties, representing constituents across the state. One, I will just remind you that, again, 9 out of 10 of these individuals who are currently incarcerated will come home. They also all have family members who live in those communities and vote. And also, one of the reasons that I have been so thoroughly impressed with their work is that oftentimes, ask my colleagues on the Joint Budget Committee, there has been oftentimes, the word I think I'm going to use is opacity. There has not been transparency about where money is or is not going when we give the Department of Corrections, I believe it's over $1 billion a year currently. And so having the information from this group of 35 individuals over 13 different facilities across the state at all levels of security, representing the perspectives of male inmates and female inmates, I think is a data point that is helping to ascertain more transparency, not less of it. My challenge with this amendment, as it is contemplated here, is the fact that if we were, I would welcome a conversation about this as a requirement for every single bill. And I think that that already exists under the contour of the audit committee, under the contour of SMART Act hearings, and under the contour of all of our ability to bring forward legislation. Again, these are recommendations that would be offered, and part of how this bill is set up to function is that it would all be subject to, one, a vote to become authorized to be a bill or not, and two, would also have to make its way through the legislative process just like any other bill in this august building. The last thing I will say is this. At the SMART Act hearing this legislative session, when individuals testified as to their thoughts and perspectives on where DOC could make recommendations administrative policy shifts within these various facilities to save money and produce better outcomes. The DOC brass, who was all there in support of the DOC SMART Act hearing, listened rapt with attention. Feedback that one of the staff members who was in attendance at that point said, a staff member who watched the SMART Act presentation made time to pop in on a legislation inside meeting after the fact to share that it was incredible, that they were extremely impressed by the issues brought up and that the way that they were presented, and expressed their gratitude that this entity existed. And I will just also, again, say that this is that this entity seeks to ensure that there is greater transparency and accountability within the Department of Corrections, within the criminal legal system. And so it is with respect that I echo my co-sponsor in, with all respect, requesting a no vote on L7.
Senator Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I rise in support of L007. I think regular public reports are a good thing. As someone that sits on a interim committee similar to what you're about to do here, I have seen how ideas get railroaded through. There's not a whole lot of accountability on those as well, and bad proposals in that particular committee sometimes are just rubber stamped. Another reason that it's important to have these reports is that it gives the public an opportunity to know if the people that are coming up with these ideas are here legally or illegally. And so I support L007, ask for an aye vote.
Senator Bright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the comments that have been made and the parallel thoughts that the good senator from Denver has with regard to the accountability and the need for transparency on these things. I feel like what we have here is a bill that has completed nearly a full circle of its intent. Maybe 355 points. Let's finish up the circle and let's just let's ask for a report out to this chamber so that we can know that those objectives are being met. Since we see the same need for transparency amongst all of our programs, I feel like reporting just completes that circle and helps us with that transparency. So I feel like we're in full agreement there. And I would ask for an aye vote on L007.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L7. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The noes have it, and Amendment L7 is lost. Senator Frizzell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I've got to get myself a little organized here. So we heard this bill in judiciary. Unfortunately, I was not in attendance that day. I think I would have had a lot of questions about this particular piece of legislation, because I worry, sometimes we pass legislation in this building. It's kind of part of that, let's all hold hands and, we can feel good about what we're doing and everybody gets a trophy and that kind of thing. And this is definitely, in my opinion, kind of, this bill falls into that pool because, and don't get me wrong, you know, I feel really strongly that we need to work on ways to mitigate recidivism, which I can never say that word. But you know what I'm talking about. I mean, we really do. We're not, that's a problem. It's a problem throughout the United States. It's a problem here in Colorado. We really need to work to make sure that we don't have a revolving door in our prison system. And I don't know that this is the solution. I don't, in fact, I feel very strongly it's not. But here's the thing, is that we need guardrails, and the amendment that we just heard and sadly was not accepted, that was an effort to provide some guardrails and some accountability to this.
There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L8?
Amendment L8, amend printed bill, page 6.
Senator Frizzell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment L8 to Senate Bill 155.
That's a proper motion to the amendment. Senator Frizzell.
Thank you. So I do really feel strongly that if we are going to adopt this legislation, which I have no doubt that it will sail right on through, like many of the other pieces of legislation that we have discussion on up here. I really think it's important that we put some guardrails. And so basically what this amendment does, and I'm just going to refer to the bill, this amendment adds language on page 6 of the bill, but it's under the section where we're discussing the makeup of the council and who can sit on the council. Pretty much anybody can sit on the council. And this amendment restricts just a little bit and says that a person who was convicted of or entered a plea of guilty or nolo contendere for a crime of violence as defined in section 18-1.3-406 is ineligible for appointment to the council. So members, again, you know, if we're going to create these advisory councils, I think that character matters. I think integrity matters. Certainly would never say that people who are housed in our corrections facilities are without either of those. I think that there are people who are there who want to right a wrong and do their time and get back to life. And I can certainly see that there are programs that they can participate in that would assist with that. What this amendment does is it establishes a clear and strict criteria for appointments to the legislation inside advisory council. I don't see that individuals with violent offenses or serious criminal convictions should really be able to participate in this program. This amendment helps ensure that only individuals with relative integrity and sound judgment are involved in advisory roles that impact legislation. And let's be clear, this advisory council will be impacting legislation. So let's not pretend that that's not going to happen, because it is. We've seen that with other advisory councils. And we had, I had a colleague, my good colleague from Grand Junction, who was up here talking about an advisory council that she participates on and what she has actually seen occur. I think that this is really an important amendment. It limits the potential for conflicts of interest in the realm of public safety.
And, as I have pointed out from this podium over the last few days, Colorado has a crime problem. Colorado has a significant crime problem. And I think that our efforts, while we're making legislation and having these conversations here on a beautiful Thursday, maybe we should be having conversations about that. Number 8 in the United States for violent crime. That's, again, when I'm talking to my constituents, that's something that they are concerned about. Why don't you do something about crime? Why don't you do something about our roads? Why don't you do something? So, members, on this beautiful Thursday before Easter, let's be relevant. Let's pass relevant legislation that matters to the people we serve. Let's do that. Let's be relevant to those we serve. This bill is not that. I ask for your aye vote on Amendment L008.
To the amendment, Senator Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to make a few comments in support of the amendment offered by my colleague on the Judiciary Committee, the senator from Castle Rock. I think this is a good amendment. It sends an important message to the public that if we're going to have this kind of a advisory commission or council, and as my colleague from Castle Rock said, this will result in legislation in all likelihood. This will be an effort to impact the criminal justice policies and laws of this state. So we better pay attention to the folks who are going to be put on this commission. And so I think this amendment is an excellent guardrail you put on about violent offenders not being on the commission. The amendment establishes clear and strict criteria for appointments to this legislation inside Advisory Council by prohibiting individuals with violent offenses or serious criminal convictions. This amendment helps ensure that only individuals with relative integrity and sound judgment are involved in the advisory roles which impact legislation. I mean, this is an important message to send to the people of our state, not only as a senator from Castle Rock reminded us, do we have a serious crime problem in this state, number 6 in violent crime. We went through a whole period where we had a tremendous problem with vehicle thefts, and I think we finally realized that maybe we ought to pay more attention to that, and I'm pleased to see that a lot of jurisdictions are taking vehicle theft a lot more seriously these days. And you know what? Amazingly, when you do that, you get less of it. So we need to take these offenses seriously, and we need, if we're going to set up an advisory council like this, let's make sure we are careful who we're allowing to be on this advisory council. It's an important public perception issue that the taxpayers, the citizens of this state are going to learn about this council, and I think we want to make sure we've got some people, some reputable people on there that are not going to end up being an embarrassment to the legislature. So I would urge a support for this amendment, L008. I think it's, in a lot of ways, is similar to the earlier amendment that I offered to basically say, obviously if you put certain people on here, they're going to be making recommendations to us about sentencing, about parole, about probation, about the types of things that are really should not be the purview of folks that are incarcerated, in my opinion. That's the legislature's prerogative. And so let's both make sure we carefully police who's eligible to be on this council, and that we put restrictions on the type of recommendations they're going to be making to the legislature. Because as my colleague from Castle Rock pointed out, this is going to result in potentially some serious changes in our criminal justice system. And so we want to make sure that we've got a good process in place here if we're going to approve this legislation. So I would urge an aye vote for Amendment L008.
Senator Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will renew my request for a no vote on Amendment L008 and say a couple more things in response to my colleagues. The first is victims' organizations like CICASA support this legislation because they know that positive engagement in prison is what stops repeat crimes. This prevents crime, just like any good rehabilitation program. We heard testimony in committee from the district attorney in Denver, John Walsh, who supports this legislation. We also heard from staff members in the Department of Corrections who've attested to the positive impacts that they've seen on inmates and their rehabilitation journey in prison because of legislation inside. Not every crime of violence carries a life sentence, which means there are people in prison convicted of crimes of violence who will get out. And it does not make sense to deny those individuals from programs that will help them rehabilitate and increase the chances that they don't commit more violent crimes. I would think that that's something that we can all agree on. I do want to call out, though, a comment from the good senator from Castle Rock that I encourage us to have a conversation about crime. We have that conversation in Judiciary Committee frequently. We have passed bills through Judiciary Committee this year that increase criminal penalties. I have voted for some of those bills. Let's have that discussion when there is a bill about criminal penalties. That's not what this bill is about. When we pass healthcare policy, I think it's important that we listen to patients. When we pass education policy, I think it's important that we listen to students. And by the same token, when we pass criminal justice policy, when we pass policy that relates to prisons, which we must, it is important that we listen to the individuals who are impacted by that policy. My colleagues are correct. There are recommendations that, in all likelihood, may make their way into legislation. There was one last year. It had nothing to do with criminal penalties. It was about increasing transparency in the clemency process, something that I would think we could all get behind, knowing more information about what applications our governor considered, the factors that he used and his office used to grant clemency, what went into those decisions, why those decisions were made. That's the type of policy that we are talking about. So I do hope that we see good, common sense legislative recommendations come out of this council, but to be clear, the discussion here is about crime, and that is very, very far removed from what this bill is actually about, which is forming a council, like we have councils in lots of different areas, to make recommendations based on their experience with something that we do as a state, intended to help us make that better. I encourage a no vote on Amendment L008.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L8. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment L8 is lost. To the bill, Senator Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'd like to talk a little about the costs of this and potentially the costs of the recommendations that are come down from this council. I have an amendment here
There
at
is
the
an
desk.
amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L5?
Amendment L5, amendment printed bill, page 11, after line 22, insert 2-2-2408, financial implications of recommendations and legislation. The council shall
Senator
include...
Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Amendment L005.
That's a proper motion to the amendment, Senator Carson.
So this amendment would require that any recommendations made by the Legislation Inside Advisory Council must explicitly outline their financial implications and demonstrate how they can be achieved within the existing budget. So this is just saying to the advisory council, you got to play by the same rules that we as legislators, you know, we have to, when we introduce a bill, we have to get a fiscal note. We have to be putting out there to our committees and to our colleagues, how much is this going to cost? And that all factors into the process of deciding whether a legislative proposal is advisable, is affordable, is something that we can realistically do. And if we're going to have, you know, advisory councils that are making a recommendation in this area of basically in the areas of crime and punishment and incarceration conditions, facilities, I think we need to be aware of what the costs of that are going to be. And so let's make sure that we're having the folks making these recommendations on the council have to submit those for estimates on the financial impact. This amendment ensures that any recommendations made by the council are financially responsible. By requiring an outline of financial implications of recommendations, this amendment encourages prudent budgeting and prevents unnecessary expenditures. Additionally, requiring the proposals align with the existing budget helps prioritize essential initiatives without risking fiscal instability. This approach fosters accountability and transparency, especially as the state is increasingly hard-pressed for money as a result of the overspending that we've been seeing. You know, we talk about the budget situation, and I think we've all become very aware of the budget situation this year. Fortunately, you know, what I've learned is we were able to move money around. There seems to be cash in different accounts here and there, and what I'm telling people as well, at least this year, we were able to have a reasonable budget, not have to make so many cuts, but that's not going to last forever. And so we're going to have a legislation inside advisory council bringing us budget recommendations in future years. We better be paying attention to the potential cost of that because, you know, the budget situation we're facing is going to continue to get worse and worse. We have, as we've been advised and warned, a structural deficit situation here in the state budget. And whatever group of people, this advisory council advising us on legislation, that's going to impact the budget potentially. As my colleague from Castle Rock said, and as my colleague from Platteville spoke on his amendment, this is going to result in some serious recommendations coming to the legislature, and we need to know what the financial impact, the fiscal impact of those recommendations are going to be so that we can make intelligent and fiscally prudent decisions. So I would urge my colleagues to consider and support this very reasonable amendment, L005.
Senator Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the good senator from Highlands Ranch for bringing this amendment and for the continued discussion. I would encourage a no vote on amendment L005, and maybe we'll just ask a question about this amendment, which is that we currently have a legislative council staff that employs fiscal analysts who do this job. And so I'm curious why we would take the job of producing fiscal notes out of the hands of the people who presumably trained for that, majored in things like accounting, and put them in a place where we don't have that expertise. Maybe we do. Maybe there's people with backgrounds like Bernie Madoff who are sitting in our prisons and could lend their expertise to this type of thing. But I'm curious why we would take a job that's currently handled by experts who we employ and give it to a group of individuals who don't have that expertise.
Seeing no further discuss, Senator Carson.
Well, I think, again, this is not,
Senator Carson, can you pull that mic to your...
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I keep forgetting to pull this mic. As my colleague from Centennial reminds me, there could be millions of people listening, so we've got to be paying attention here. Project. My point is, on this legislation is, and we don't need to restrict it to inside the facilities. I mean, there's no reason we can't let the membership of this council tap into the resources we have here at the legislature for budgeting purposes. I mean, you know, we have the staff here available to provide estimates to us, so I'm not suggesting that we, you know, we have to have folks within the incarceration facilities that have financial or accounting expertise, but let's just make sure that they're tapping into the accounting and budgeting and cost estimate resources that we have for legislation. So again, I'd urge my colleagues to support this amendment L005.
Seeing no further discussion, the question and motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L5. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The noes have it. L5 is lost. Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 155. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 155 is passed. We'll be in a senatorial 5.
You want me to do it?
Thank you,
Majority
Mr.
Leader
Chair.
Rodriguez.
I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will rise and report. Love you, brother.
Senator will come to order. Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
April 17, 2025. Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 8 as amended, Senate Bill 69 as amended, Senate Bill 75 as amended, Senate Bill 122, Senate Bill 126 as amended, Senate Bill 155 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1283 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 30, Senate Bill 161 laid over until April 21st, 2025 and retaining their place in the calendar. Senate Bill 127 laid over until May 8th, 2025 and retaining its place in the calendar.
Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. We will take a senatorial 5. We will not take a senatorial 5. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I have to take accountability when I commit a mistake because I was rushing in and immediately went and moved Senate Bill 75 and absolutely forgot that I had a technical amendment to offer that just clarifies the change in policy in another section of the bill. And so I am so grateful to Ms. Forrestal for her diligence when I have committed a mistake, because our staff always makes sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's. And so with that, I do have a cow amendment that I will run in order to ensure that Senate Bill 75 has the correct technical amendment added to it. And I please, please, please ask for an aye vote because
Thank
I
you, Ms.
forgot.
Forstall. Really appreciate that. There's a member of the desk. Mr. Schaffler, please read S001 and Senate Bill 75.
Amendment
Senator
S001.
Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Cal 1 to 75 and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion?
I'm
Seeing-
sorry and thank you.
You are welcome. Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of S001 on Senate Bill 75. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, S001 on Senate Bill 75, the forestalled amendment has been adopted. The forestalled good catch amendment has been adopted. Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 8 is amended, Senate Bill 69 is amended, 75 is amended, 122, 126 is amended, 155 is amended, passed in second reading, order in gross place, account of third reading, final passage. House Bill 1283 is amended, passed second reading, order revised, place, account of third reading, final passage. Senate Bill 30, Senate Bill 161, laid over until 4/21/25, retaining their place on the calendar. Senate Bill 25, 127, laid over until 5/8/2025, and retaining its place on the calendar. Governor's appointments, Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over consideration of governor appointments until Monday, April the 21st.
The motion is laid over consideration of governor's appointments to Monday, April 21st. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and consideration of governor's appointments calendar will lay over to Monday, April 21st, 2025. Message from the House.
Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Reviser of Statutes House Bill 1320, amended as printed in House Journal April 16, 2025, and amended on third reading as printed in House Journal April 17, 2025. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Reviser of Statutes House Bill 1188, House Bill 1088, House Bill 1304, amended as printed in House Journal April 16, 2025. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Reviser of Statutes Senate Bill 55, amended as printed in House Journal April 17, 2025. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bill 154, Senate Bill 166, Senate Bill 191.
Message from the Reviser.
We herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bill 1088, 1188, 1304, and 1320 without comment as amended Senate Bill 55.
Delivery to the Governor.
To the Governor for signature on Thursday, April 17, 2025 at 11:30 a.m. Senate Bill 219, 220, 221, 222, 223, 227, 230, 231, 234, 235, 236, 238, 239, 240, 241, 242, 246, 250, 252, and 269.
Announcements, Senator Gonzalez. Announcements, Senator Weissman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is to announce the on adjournment State Veterans Military Affairs Committee meeting 352. We are gathering to consider the following bills: House Bill 1082, Senate Concurrent Resolution 001, Senate Bill 287, House Bill 1244. We will not be hearing 1273 today at the request of the sponsor. That will be reset until next week. We will get going at 1240. See you in 352. Thanks.
Very good. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to take just a brief moment, since today is the 100th day of the General Assembly of our 120-day legislative session. And I want to just acknowledge that this session hasn't gone in the way that I think a lot of us anticipated. I've had this book on tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century by Tim Snyder, that I think it would be important for us to all remind ourselves about. And so in the honor of having 20 days left, I just want to read the 20 recommendations and reflections, 20 lessons from the 20th century on tyranny. 1, do not obey in advance. Most of the power of authoritarianism is freely given. In times like these, individuals think ahead about what a more repressive government will want and then offer themselves without being asked. A citizen who adapts in this way is teaching power what it can do. Number 2, defend institutions. It is institutions that help us to preserve decency. They need our help as well. Do not speak of our institutions unless you make them yours by acting on their behalf. Institutions do not protect themselves. They fall one after the other unless each is defended from the beginning. So choose an institution you care about. A court, a newspaper, a law, a labor union, and take its side. Lesson 3, beware the one-party state. The parties that remade states and suppressed rivals were not omnipotent from the start. They exploited a historic moment to make political life impossible for their opponents. So support the multi-party system and defend the rules of democratic institutions. Vote in local and state elections while you can. Consider running for office. Lesson 4, take responsibility for the face of the world. The symbols of today enable the reality of tomorrow. Notice the swastikas and the other signs of hate. Do not look away and do not get used to them. Remove them yourself and set an example for others to do. Lesson number 5, remember professional ethics. When political leaders set a negative example, professional commitments to just practice become more important. It is hard to subvert a rule of law state without lawyers or to hold show trials without judges. Authoritarians need obedient civil servants, and concentration camp directors seek businessmen interested in cheap labor. Lesson number 6, be wary of paramilitaries. When the men with guns who have always claimed to be against the system start wearing uniforms and marching with torches and pictures of a leader, the end is nigh. When the pro-leader paramilitary and the official police and military intermingle, the lesson has come. Lesson 7, be reflective if you must be armed. If you carry a weapon in public service, may God bless you and keep you. But know that evils of the past involved policemen and soldiers finding themselves one day doing irregular things. Be ready to say no. Lesson number 8, stand out. Someone has to. It is easy to follow along. It can feel strange to do or say something different, but without that unease, there is no freedom. Remember, Rosa Parks, the moment you set an example, the spell of the status quo is broken and others will follow. Lesson number 9, be kind to our language. Avoid pronouncing the phrases everyone else does. Think up your own way of speaking, even if only to convey that thing you think everyone is saying. Make an effort to separate yourself from the internet. Read books. Lesson number 10, believe in truth. To abandon facts is to abandon freedom. If nothing is true, then no one can criticize power because there is no basis upon which to do so. If nothing is true, then all is spectacle. The biggest wallet pays for the most bright, blinding lights. Lesson number 11, investigate. Figure out things for yourself. Spend more time with long articles. Subsidize investigative journalism by subscribing to print media. Realize that some of what is on the internet is there to harm you. Learn about sites that investigate propaganda campaigns, some of which come from abroad. Take responsibility for what you communicate with others. Lesson number 12. Make eye contact and small talk. This is not just polite. It is part of being a citizen and a responsible member of society. It is also a way to stay in touch with your surroundings, break down social barriers, and understand whom you should and should not trust. If we enter a culture of denunciation, you will want to know the psychological landscape of your daily life. Lesson number 13, practice corporeal politics. Power wants your body softening in your chair and your emotions dissipating on the screen. Get outside. Put your body in unfamiliar places with unfamiliar people. Make new friends and march with them. Lesson 14, establish a private life. Nastier rulers will use what they know about you to push you around. Scrub your computer of malware on a regular basis. Remember that email is skywriting. Consider using alternative forms of the internet or simply using it less. Have personal exchanges in person. For the same reason, resolve any legal trouble. Tyrants seek the hook on which to hang you. Try not to have hooks. Lesson number 15, contribute to good causes. Be active in organizations, political or not, that express your own view of life. Pick a charity or two and set up auto pay. Then you will have made a free choice that supports civil society and helps others to do good. Lesson 16, learn from peers in other countries. Keep up your friendships abroad or make new friends in other countries. The present difficulties in the United States are an element of a larger trend, and no country is going to find a solution by itself. Make sure you and your family have passports. Lesson 17, listen for dangerous words. Be alert to the use of the words extremism and terrorism. Be alive to the fatal notions of emergency and exception. Be angry about the treacherous use of patriotic vocabulary. Lesson 18, be calm when the unthinkable arrives. Modern tyranny is terror management. Modern tyranny is terror management. When the terrorist attack comes, remember that authoritarians exploit such events in order to consolidate power. The sudden disaster that requires the end of checks and balances. The sudden disaster that requires the end of checks and balances, the dissolution of opposition parties, the suspension of freedom of expression, the right to a fair trial, and so on, is the oldest trick in the Hitlerian book. Do not fall for it. Lesson 19, be a patriot. Set a good example of what America means for the generations to come. They will need it. Lesson 20, be as courageous as you can. If none of us is prepared to die for freedom, then all of us will die under tyranny. I apologize that I am as emotional that I am. This book was written in 2017. On tyranny, 20 lessons from the 20th century. Timothy Snyder, I encourage you all to read it. We have 20 days left to do our work. Our constituents are begging us in this moment to act. How will we respond in the last 20 days that we have together? Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Thank you. Senator Kipp.
Thank you. I don't think I can follow that very well, but Senate Finance will meet 15 minutes upon adjournment in SCR 357 to hear HB 25-1299. Thank you.
Very good. Further announcements. Senator Exum.
Thank you, Mr. President. State local government housing will meet this afternoon after 15 minutes after the upon adjournments are finished. We will hear some middle income housing appointments and reappointments, and then we will hear House Bill 1236 and House Bill 1207. Thank you.
Very good. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. The schedule today says that the conference committees will be meeting upon adjournment of the JBC. Interesting fact, the JBC never adjourns. We always just stand in recess. So, we will not be adjourning today, but if you take the syllabus and you replace the word adjourn with recess, there you go. Thank you.
That's right. JBC members now use can't leave. Senator Mulliken.
Thank you, Mr. President. You learn something new every day. Members, Senate Health and Human Services Committee will be meeting at 1:30 in the old Supreme Court. We do have a pretty packed schedule with a number of confirmations. We're also going to be hearing Senate Bill 198, Senate Bill 118, House Bill 1226, House Bill 1017, House Bill 1176, House Bill 1222, House Bill 1094, and Senate Bill 290. That is subject to change, but that is what is on the calendar as of right now. Look forward to seeing you there.
Very good. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee will meet at 1:30 or as soon as possible thereafter, depending on upon adjournment committees. We have confirmations for the State Agricultural Commission, followed by House Bill 1023.
Very good. Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I was just going to let you know that the Business, Labor, and Technology Committee will meet 15 minutes on adjournment, taking up the issues that are printed on your calendar. I hope everybody has a great afternoon and a happy Easter if you celebrate that.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, it was my pleasure and blessing to be able to offer the invocation before we started our proceedings earlier today. For me personally, this weekend is kind of the fulcrum of my life. It's the celebration of Easter and Resurrection Sunday. We are entering into this season of spring where things are born anew, where opportunities for redemption grow and expand. I want to extend my gratitude to each one of my colleagues and the folks I serve with outside the chamber on the other side of the glass for the way that I believe that I become a new human being, a better human being by virtue of the interactions I have with all of you. That is a symbol and metaphor for redemption and rebirth. I'm grateful for that, and I wish you all a very happy Easter weekend and a blessed Resurrection Sunday. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very good. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we'll be reading some bills and committee reports across the desk later. No need to come back. On that note, Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 1:30 p.m. today.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate will stand in recess until 1:30 p.m. today.